Welcome to Coach Talk, LJ.
Hi, everybody. Dave, it's so good to see your beautiful face and your smiley face.
Thank you. Do you know what? I actually know what you look like now because you are on video. I can actually see.
Yes.
How are you, mate?
And to all our amazing listeners, this is our first video that we've decided to venture in. That we are always learning and growing, and it's really great that we get to see, well, you get to see us, and technically we're looking at you too. Only we don't know what you look like, but thanks for listening.
But we're looking. We have a special guest today that we're going to have a chat with very, very shortly. She's wonderful. She's awesome. We decided to do a video so we could actually meet and greet and see her, so you could also see her. What she's going to talk about, I guarantee, is going to be just mind-blowing. An accomplished person on so many levels that we just had to do the video and do it that way instead of our normal audio podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be great. And I think, LJ, you and I are just going to rock it out and love what we do, as we always do.
Absolutely. I'm so excited because every time I've had the absolute honour and privilege of being in person with this beautiful guest of ours, just the conversations are amazing. How she's able to illuminate the room with her unique bits of pixie dust, and that will all make sense in a moment when you explore the interview that we are about to have with this amazing guest.
Absolutely.
So have an amazing week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in and for joining us for our very first video with our very special guest.
Sit back, relax, please enjoy, and we are now bringing our wonderful guest coming up now.
Enjoy.
Okay, so on Coach Talk today, we have a sensational guest. We have got the one and only Christine Tylee, and she is a very, very accomplished Aussie. Go Australia. She's from New South Wales. She's an entrepreneur. She's an author, world karate champion, certified positivity coach, very proud mum of 3 wonderful kids, and the creator of the Glitter Philosophy. Hi, Christine. How are you going? Welcome to Coach Talk.
Hello, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you. That was a big intro.
Oh, this is fantastic. Christine, you've achieved incredible things. And through all of your achievements, there's just this underlying superpower that you've got in everything you do. And okay, maybe LJ and I, we have done a bit of research on you.
Maybe
Some people call it stalking, but we call it research. There's a superpower in you that we see, and that's mindset. And obviously being a positivity coach and in mindset and everything you do. Tell us about your mindset. Tell us about how it powers you to do everything that you do.
Well, I guess first I want to clarify that I wasn't born this way. This is something that I've had to work at and learn how to embrace. And it was actually when my daughter was first diagnosed with leukemia when she was 6 years old, that I made a conscious decision who I was going to show up as and who I was going to be through that. And I felt that if we were going to get through that, for myself and for our family, that I needed to be super positive. And so ever since then, I've done a lot of actual study and research, as well as the practical side of things. How does this work? How do I do this positivity thing? And it sort of all stemmed from there, really.
Yeah.
That's
the
beautiful.
word conscious awareness and conscious being. You made a decision, and the biggest thing is what I see. You took action on that. Taking action is really the ultimate goal. Is so many people, and I've done it. I know LJ, you too. We've decided to do something, or we've had an awareness and go, okay, this is where we need to go or what we need to do, but we haven't done it. So the actual action side of things is challenging, but you've done it, you're doing it. There's so many things you've achieved. We could talk with you for hours and hours and hours and hours on everything you've done, but we need to condense, of course, and everything else. But it's just extraordinary how your mindset, and for me, I think it's just a great superpower. Just reading a bit of a bio about you and seeing where you're at now, where you come from, it's extraordinary.
Absolutely. Christine, if I may, like you are the epitome of what's talked about in Angela Duckworth's book Grit. Like I've heard your story and the story of your beautiful daughter Sophie, and even Ethan, and how proud you are of them. But what I'm curious about is, you said you had to work at it, you weren't born at it. Who were your role models? Like, outside of that whole experience that you had to draw on, who actually inspired you, like prior to that point, that you could then draw on as a resource?
That's a really good question. I think, I actually think it was from that diagnosis on that all of a sudden the role models sort of all appeared. And I mean, to a certain extent, up till that point, I'd been inspired by my mother, who has multiple degrees and was a female in a male-dominated environment at universities, and she navigated that, and it was very inspiring in that, me growing up watching this woman really run the world and find a way to do it in a feminine way. So I think I grew up with that. But when my daughter was diagnosed, I took inspiration from so many places, but honestly, the kids and the teens that I saw facing cancer with a brave face was just probably the most soul-bending, inspirational thing that anybody can be exposed to. And I personally got to know 2 teenage girls, both who passed away, both who knew they were terminal, show up and just be the light for others. And it's like, wow, how the hell are they doing that? How can they do that? And there's a conversation with one of their mothers that kind of lit the spark within me. And she shared that her daughter looks for the glitter in every day. And I thought, right, that's it. That's the secret to life. And so we started with Sophie and I, we started our own glitter journal together. And each day we would write down the highlights from our day. And Sophie became like the leader in that and taught me how to do that process, even though I was the one that started it. She's the one that on some of the worst days in hospital, where it was just horrific, she, at the end of the day, even when she could hardly even lift her head off the pillow, she was so sick, she would be able to say, Mum, we need to do the glitter journal. I'd say, really, it's okay. We don't have to do it today. And she said, oh, no, I've got so much glitter. And I was just gobsmacked. Like, honestly, the student became the teacher, and she was remarkable at how many highlights she could find in a day where I would reflect and think, well, there was nothing in that day. She could find dozens. And that is just quite humbling to witness, that a child can be so inspirational in the darkest of times. And I thought, well, I can't very well turn around and say there's nothing, can I? So it became a process in retraining my brain. And now I can see sparkles everywhere. But I think that it's about the process. It's about retraining your brain to be finding them, because we are automatically wired for negativity, and we do have a negativity bias. But by having that focus, that lens put over, it's retraining the reticular activating system in the base of your brain, bundle of nerve fibers there that kind of act like an inner Google. And by retraining those to be looking for the highlights, then it is just amazing. like what we've achieved since we've made this shift has been incredible. And I really do credit the fact that we've taught ourselves how to have that. It's almost like, if you're on Instagram and they say, put on the filter and it just adds sparkles everywhere. Well, you can really do that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we did to do that, was that daily glitter journal process that we went through, and we still do.
Yeah. What a beautiful gift that you've been able to gain from children that are going through that experience, but also to turn that around and actually propel that forward. And that's such a beautiful gift that you're creating, not only with your daughter, but also as a legacy of those beautiful kids who have tragically passed. And thank you for sharing that, because I know your work with one of the hospitals up around your home, you're very much involved in the supporting of that hospital because of what's gone through your journey. So thank you for creating that legacy and awareness for the rest of us, because it doesn't matter what we go through, we all have that capacity to look for the glitter, as you so beautifully put that into terminology that we can all create.
Yeah, it's I think it's important that we find a way to find the gift in the bad things that we go through, because it's not that I want to belittle or limit people's experiences. We face some really bad things, but it's who we are as we come out the other side. It's not dwelling in the negativity for too long, and it's finding that the way to turn it around and to make something of it that's going to help others. And if we go back to your previous question, actually, about who are my role models, I just thought of another one. When I was 19, a friend of mine from high school was murdered, and there isn't anything worse than losing a loved one in that circumstance. But I got the blessing of witnessing how her parents processed that and dealt with that, and what they created from that. And Kim's legacy is massive. And I just think, wow, from the worst possible circumstances, some amazing things can materialize. And I guess I'm lucky to have been exposed to that through my life. And I wouldn't wish a child being murdered or going through a cancer diagnosis for a child on anyone. But if we can use those experiences to lighten and brighten the world and make it a better place, then I'm so happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, you can certainly see the way you talk, and I know LJ, I'm just talking to LJ at the moment as well, the way you structure your sentences, you are definitely a positivity coach. The way you language, what you say, and how you're bringing I'm lighting up on a lot of things you're saying in the way that it's just fantastic. I can see that the way you do it it's fantastic. And the glitter philosophy, it's organically grown from the spirit of your daughter, and it just grows and grows and grows. And we love that. We just love that organic growing and the way things just keep developing, and you add to it and you add to it. And suddenly you've gone from a small shoot out of the ground to a massive tree. And that's fantastic. We, as coaches, we just love the whole thing about that. It's great. It's really good. Yeah. You've written some books, and you are a successful author. You've got a few books. Tell us about your books.
First of all, thank you, Dave. I'm quite humbled by that, and
you're welcome.
Really, really proud of the fact that the glitter philosophy is just taking on a life of its own. But my first two books was part of an anthology series in each case, and sharing my story in the hope that I could inspire people who are going through tough times. And so those were the first two books, which both became international bestsellers. And the next book was one I wrote myself, and it was a lengthy process. It took me 7 years. I actually started writing it when Sophie was in hospital, because I had months in hospital, so I thought I'd start something positive. But I eventually published it 7 years later, and it was a sharing my insights from having built a $20 million business in the direct sales industry. And the fact that I believe that everybody needs some kind of income stream that is flexible, because you just don't know what's around the corner and when you might need something like that. So I'm a really big believer in that industry and the options that it has for families. So that was a very popular, successful book. And then the new one that I have coming out very soon it's really where my heart is and where I really hope to make a big impact on the world. And that's my book about the glitter philosophy and sharing our journey and how we've created this. I don't know, this whole way of being and how we use that in multiple areas of our lives, and hopefully we can inspire other people to take it up and embrace it and apply it how they need to.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I love how even when most people are under pressure, you have risen. And I've got two questions that come out of the last little bit that you've just given us. First of all, network marketing. I mean, it's not a traditional business, and yes, we need flexibility, especially when you're going through circumstances like what you were faced with. But I'm always curious because it's not an easy business to get started, and you were already so far stretched. How was that for you, building a network marketing business whilst every part of your world at that point in time was already stretched to capacity, and yet you've turned around and just risen again and lifted the bar even when most people wouldn't think that adding another bar would be possible. You are living proof of that grit and tenacity, and I love that, and thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, when Sophie was diagnosed, I had already been in business for, I think, 13, 14 years. It was about $2 million by that point. So it's not like I took it up at that point. So I'll just clarify that.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
But I did take it from that 2 million and grew it to 21 million from that. And I actually think that it was the realization that I had, again, in that business, something that was a gift for others, really. My thought process about it changed from how can this help me and my family to far out, this is something that can help so many people. And I think the way that I was processing what I had to offer is what changed. And I suddenly saw it as the answer to a lot of people's problems, because I was sitting there in the hospital and in and out, but for months and months. Like her treatment was 2.5 years. And I didn't meet a single other mother through that entire journey that was able to continue earning an income while they were there with their child. And some had 6-month journey. I met people whose child was still fighting cancer 7 years after diagnosis. Like it's a completely upending experience to go through for a mother. But what I discovered was that they had all that emotional distress, and on top of that was they were loaded with financial disaster as well. And I'm actually headed to Parliament House on Tuesday to speak in Parliament about the journey of childhood cancer, and I'm a passionate advocate for supporting families through that.
Wow.
But it was then that I realised that I could really help a lot of people. It wasn't just families facing cancer diagnosis who are in dire financial circumstances. I thought there's a lot of people that could do with an extra income stream, and somebody who genuinely cares about them and the difference that it makes for their business to guide them, because there's too many people in that industry that are not there for the right reasons. And in all honesty, I don't know that I was either until I had my perspective changed. So I think when I saw it as an answer to a lot of people's concerns and problems, and I saw that, geez, if all these mothers had just had something that they could fall back on, maybe their lives wouldn't have fallen apart as much as they did. And so I think for me, that's where I drew from to grow that business in the way that it did.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The other question that comes out of that, being parents that both Dave and I are, and yourself, is like, we can't begin to imagine what that was like for you and for Sophie and the rest of your family. But as a mum, and if we may explore this, because I think that you'd have some beautiful words of wisdom for some of our listeners that are maybe going through the same sort of thing. One thing, when your children are sick and they're hospitalised, is it's how you've shown up not only to support Sophie, but to also be there for your other children and your husband. I mean, how did you balance that, if you don't mind me asking? Because let's face it, in this day and age, split parenting in terms of focus between just a job and parenting is challenging for some people. But I can't even begin to imagine what that's like in your circumstances. And I was just wondering if there was any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with some people who may be experiencing the same thing and looking for, how am I going to do this?
Well, in all honesty, I can't take credit for what I did. We went and sought counselling. How do we navigate this? Because we had to pour so much time and effort and energy into Sophie, and we had two other beautiful little children at home. Emily was 8, Andy was not yet 3. He turned 3 shortly after her diagnosis. And, I missed Christmases, birthdays, Mother's Days, Easters. Like, life was not how it should have been for the children in that time. But the advice that I took on board from the specialist counsellor in, dealing with these circumstances was to make sure that whenever possible we could allocate some one-on-one time with a parent and a child. And so it's not always family time, which really isn't possible when you've got a child in hospital. But it would be, okay, my nearly 3-year-old and then 3-year-old really needed some mummy time. So sometimes it would be my husband would come in, he would sit with Sophie, and I would just take Andy into the hospital playground for an hour, and we'd play pirate ships, and those hospital, play areas are set up pretty well. And we would have a wonderful time, and it would be just intensive quality time. And I think that it applies to it doesn't have to be a parent with a child facing a life-threatening condition, like a parent who works full-time and perhaps has their child in before and after school care. Parents like that always saying to me, I've got so much guilt, I'm just not spending enough time with my child. And what I realised is it is not about the quantity of time, it's about the quality of time. And when I allowed myself to embrace that, then the feelings of worry and doubt and fear and guilt that were building up because I'm spending all my time with the one child that desperately needed me, they just evaporated. And I just decided quality is what he's going to remember. Quantity is irrelevant. And
That's
the
beautiful.
same goes for every mother out there under every circumstance. I know some stay-at-home mums that still feel guilty because they're not spending the right type of time with their children. They're, always on their phone, or they're just not very present. So it doesn't matter how much time you've got with your child. It's what you're doing with the time and allowing yourself to be okay with doesn't have to be quantity. It just has to have some moments of quality. And
that's beautiful.
So there we go. That's
thank
how we
you.
process that.
Thank you so much for sharing, and there's a lot of gold in that for many of our listeners who might be going through that. Now, Christine, I know from doing a little bit of homework and actually talking to you, you have this amazing talent in your karate, and I know Dave's been dying to explore that with you because it's something that you share in terms of the high-level sports. And can I just say, if I'm ever in a dark alley, I hope I'm in a dark alley with you because I know we'll be okay. So...
Yeah, we need a bodyguard sometimes, don't we, LJ?
We do.
Christine, your resilience in what you've created in yourself, and your resilience in your business life and your personal life is incredible. It's incredible. And I'd like to just talk a little bit about your martial arts and your karate journey. Not everybody knows or is aware, but there's a reason that you took up karate originally, and it was because of a serious illness that you had. Can you share a little bit about this and how you got into your martial arts side of life because of the illness that you went through and how you came through that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, so I experienced a series of strokes and pseudoaneurysms on the brain, which gave me a huge range of scary symptoms, including I lost the ability to walk for quite a period of time because I lost depth perception. So there's nothing physically wrong with me. I just didn't know where the ground was, and that's a scary feeling. I also went through periods of time where I lost the ability to talk, and that's way more scary because I thought I was communicating something and it was coming out as complete gibberish to people around me. And apparently the medical term for that is gobbledygook, which I thought was a made-up word. It's actually a medical term.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
So I was experiencing gobbledygook. But the scariest thing was I couldn't even text. I thought, all right, they don't understand me. That's fine. I'll just text a message. And I couldn't even get the process. I couldn't even do that. And
wow.
It was terrifying to be locked in, unable to communicate. All sorts of symptoms. I saw 14 different specialists in 2 different hospitals, and eventually I came across the right person at the right time, who is one of the very few specialists in the world with what was going on with me. And he caught it in time, but I was told that I probably wouldn't live through the night. And I felt, well, I can't, what do I do? Because my husband was downstairs on the critical care ward with my daughter, who was in a really bad way at the time. So I thought, okay, I'll write letters to everybody just in case, but I'm going to show them. I'm going to be here. I'm going to do this. And I thought, I'll just stay up all night. That'll solve the problem. But I did sleep for 6 hours, and I did wake up, and they then told me, okay, well, it's a miracle you're here. Now we're going to take some action. You'll probably need risky brain surgery. And you know, we think we'll be able to get you walking and talking confidently again. And the ability to talk was coming and going. So it wasn't completely gone. But they said to me, but you'll never play a sport of any sort again. And at that point in time, I hadn't been doing a whole lot because Sophie had been in and out of hospital for over a year at that point. But I was still going out for the occasional 5K jog. I wasn't particularly unfit. But I said to him at the time, okay, what's the hardest possible thing I could do? Black belt in karate. That sounds hard. I told him, right, I'm going to get a black belt in karate and prove you wrong. So he looked at me like, you're delusional, lady. But he didn't, to his credit, he didn't verbalize it. And so it took me 6 months of rehab before I could even go into a dojo. And then I found a dojo where they were very, very supportive and encouraging. And about 6 months into my journey, I was still a white belt, but my son Andy had started training with me, and he was very, very talented. And we wanted to encourage him to compete at the state championships that were coming up. So let's get in and give it a go. And but he wouldn't do it unless I did it. So I thought, oh my God, okay, I'm going to have to compete too. And I started training just a little bit, but 6 days a week for this championship coming up. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't want to make a complete fool of myself. And I won. Let me clarify that it was a 40 plus category, but I was the only white belt in the division, and Andy came second in his division, and it sort of all grew from there. We just got the bug. It was something we loved doing together.
Yeah.
And then when Sophie got the all clear after chemo, they waited sort of 6 to 12 months till she really built her immune system back up again. And then she started as well. And now I got my black belt at the end of last year.
Awesome.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. It was a 5.5 year journey. And at the start, it was painfully slow because I couldn't even cross the midline to do skills. It was very much a step-by-step process, retraining the pathways in my brain. But it turns out martial arts is remarkably good for your brain, because my brain was being monitored regularly at that point to see if I needed brain surgery. So I was getting regular brain scans. So they could literally see the synapses in my brain, all the new structures that were developing, all the new blood pathways that were traveling to the areas of my brain that had been impacted by the strokes. They were documenting it in these scans that I was having. And it got to the point where when I was in for a brain scan, the room would be packed because I was like this little celebrity. We want to see Brain Lady.
Right. I have to ask, so with every so like successful journey that you've had with your karate, do you send a photo with your medals to that doctor that told you you'd never do it? Because I mean, he would be like at the top of my Christmas card list, I would think.
I've notified him that not only do I have a black belt, but I also have a world champion title. And with the nicest little note possible saying, please don't put limitations on people.
Nice.
Because that said to the wrong person could have given them massive limitations on their life. To me, it was like a challenge. But not everybody processes things the way I do. And not everybody's learnt how to put that glitter sparkle filter on their life. And so I worry how many medical people are basically acting as a modern day witch doctor and putting the limitations on people unnecessarily. It concerns me. So I don't know if he's changed his ways or just chucked it in the bin, but I think it's really important that that message is shared, that the person in a white lab coat doesn't have all the answers, and they don't have the right to put that kind of limitation on anybody, in my opinion.
Yeah. You are a world champion, and is that in kata?
In kata.
In kata. So do you want to tell our listeners what kata is?
It's kind of like very traditional patterns of movement that have been developed over a lengthy period of time by the grandmasters, mostly within Okinawa and Japan. And it's set movements that are designed to train you to fight. So it's kind of like you're shadow fighting within these set movements. And it's quite precise in the positions that you have to hit, and there's a whole series of different aspects that they judge from your athleticism. You know, if you do a jump, you got to jump high if you want a high score. But also one of the things that they look for is your presence, your focus, your ability to channel your energy. And it's quite a remarkable art form in itself, that part of karate.
Yeah, you can, for the listeners and the people watching, you can Google Christine. You can see her world championship performance. Kata is amazing, and I love kata. It's another version of a multi-person attack. You've got so many angles that you need to move on, and you're not just attacking and defending against one person. You are changing direction. You are doing so many things as if you were being attacked by more than one person. And I wrote some words down here that for me embodies kata, and I've written words down like concentration, balance, timing, resilience, and also interpretation of the kata to achieve excellence in the form. How and if you have you transposed all of those skills because your kata is now world class? Do you use those same adjectives to work in your business and building your business?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I didn't love those words that you chose for kata, by the way. I couldn't have done that better myself. That was so wonderful.
Thank you.
And yes, I think that when you've worked out the formula for success, it's relatively easy to transition it to all different aspects of your life. And the focus that is required, the repetition, the showing up when you don't feel like it, the precision, the learning from others, the taking advice, all of those things are important. And that, the resilience, when you get a bad score, it's like, okay, learning from that, and how do you translate that into a better score next time? And it's just like, if you're wanting visibility for your business online and you upload a video and it gets like 2 views and you feel like it was wonderful, it's exactly the same skills. It's like, okay, it's like, that's my score from the judges. What do I have to do to change that 2 to a 20 next time? And it's just the incremental gains. And I think one of the biggest factors in all aspects of success, but that can be applied to kata just as easily to business, is that celebrating increments. And I haven't won every kata I've ever done by any means. I've lost lots and lots of tournaments along the way as well. And it's about learning how to celebrate what I did well, even when I lost. And I think that's something that we've lost a little bit in our society. We're so focused on celebrating only when you achieve something that others might acknowledge as something to put on a pedestal, that you don't allow yourself to enjoy the process. And I think if you can learn how to be more process-oriented and less outcome-driven, then you're more likely to achieve success. And I think perhaps my journey to black belt has been helpful in that and in learning that, because you don't start out knowing, nobody starts in karate thinking, I'm going to be a world champion. I just thought, right, I'm going to work my way up to black belt. But the system and the belt system has a wonderful way of celebrating progress. Every little stripe on your belt, every new color. And I guess I saw that as a way to process the fact that, hey, this system is about celebrating you before you get successful, before you get that black belt. It's like, why don't we do this in everything? And such an important part. Actually, in my studies into positive psychology, I came across an amazing fellow, and he's quite famous in positive psychology circles. He wrote The Happiness Advantage. Look up that book. But in there, he shares the fact that celebrations are the oxygen of big potential. And I just really
love that.
Yeah, isn't it powerful?
Yeah, very
powerful. You're not celebrating, you're not pumping the oxygen in. So I guess learning to be process oriented and celebrating the actions that you're taking and the lessons that you're learning. And that's how you can apply that kata mentality to any aspect of your life. And it's like, how many elite sports people do you know that are successful in multiple things? So many of them. And
very true.
I think it's because they learned how to take something away from the losses, and how to go back and work on their processes to get a better outcome. And I think honestly that the only ones who really make it to elite levels are the ones that have learned how to enjoy learning and enjoy improving. And because I see so many talented people, my son does gymnastics at a really high level now, and I see so many that give up so soon. So many talented boys. We can't afford to lose boys from that sport. There's not enough doing it. But I see we lose too many, and I can see the way they're thinking, because I can see it's like, oh, this is hard now. They used to be really good at it. They used to be the talented kids, and it gets to the point where it's like, it's hard. And the ones that just never give up, that just enjoy doing it and enjoy getting better, they're the ones that are overtaking the kids with talent, left, right, and centre. And I actually created a reel that I posted, I don't know, last week or something, that was of my son, because a lot of people have said to me, oh, he's just naturally talented when they watch him now. I felt like, no, he really wasn't. And I thought, I want to show people that, no, I fortunately, I still had a video on my phone. The very first time we bought them a trampoline, they had it for Christmas. So it's a Christmas Day video. And I went through and I found all the little segments of him over the last 5 years. But that very first one, he was dreadful. He could barely even land on his feet on the trampoline.
Yeah.
So how did that kid, really wasn't showing any talent, go to a kid who now does the most incredible flips? And I guess it's a really powerful lesson to show people that it's actually not so much about talent in any aspect of your life. It's about the processes, and it's about who you are showing up as. And are you allowing yourself to celebrate along the way? Or are you waiting for the result before you're allowing yourself to be happy? And I think too many people are that way rather than the other way. So
yeah, I'm loving this conversation. That's a great segue to my last question, just with the karate side of life. But I'm loving all of this, Christine. It's really, really good. There's a couple of books that have stood the test of time in the martial arts world for decades and decades, and I'm sure you know all about them. But one of them is The Art of War by our Chinese general Sun Tzu, and the other one was The Book of Five Rings, Japanese swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. They're both talking about tactics in war. They're both talking about that sort of thing. But the underlying part of both of the books that I've read is that they're talking about strategy. And this, so many people, not just living in Japan or China or in Asia, so many people have read these books and used them in their martial arts journey. They've used them in business. They've used these books to motivate themselves in personal life. as coaches, we always like to say to people, if something isn't working for you, change your strategy. If you've had a fail or something hasn't worked out for you, change your strategy, create a new plan, and take action and go. When you've changed your strategy through your journey to where you are now, being entrepreneur, author, world champion, everything that you do, business owner, you're doing so many things. When you change your strategy, how quickly do you change it? How quickly do you take action to achieve what you want to achieve, even though you've had a fail or something hasn't worked out? Do you, like some people, do you sit on your hands and think about it, or do you take action and just get up and go?
It's a really good question, because I think that it's probably a two-pronged approach. I see some people who have it, what they would define as a fail, and then pivot too much too fast. Yeah. I see some people give up too quickly before they've had a chance to get any traction. And so there can be people who sway too far that way. And then I see people who are so focused and determined that they're not reflecting on the feedback that they're getting, and they don't do enough evolving. And it is a little bit of a balancing act, isn't it? Trying to find the right mix of the two. So I guess that's where it probably goes a little bit back to that analogy of looking at your score. What can you glean from the score? Whether it's feedback on social media, whether it's response to an email, whether it's 0 open rate on the latest email campaign, whatever score you're looking at, what can you learn from that, and how can you tweak it to make it better? And rather than necessarily pivoting right off the wheel, like getting that kind of feedback as well, that was a failure, nobody's interested in that, and giving up completely. And or going the other direction where it's like, no, I'm sticking with this format, it's going to work, but then ignoring the input and ignoring the score, and therefore you never improve if you don't try. It's like if you don't try and give the judges what they're looking for, you're never going to win. And it's exactly the same in every area of life. So I hope that answers the question. I
great answer.
Grapple with that myself quite often.
But that's a really nice thing to hear, that that even with all of your beautiful accomplishments and how beautifully grounded you are with all the study you've done, that you still reflect and go, wow, this is a little bit harder. What I'm taking away, and I have to thank you so much for sharing everything you've shared with us today, but what I'm taking away is that inspiration is everywhere if we care to look, and your influences are not necessarily, and the people that you can choose to replicate are actually just everyday people doing really great things. You don't have to be, world stardom and all the rest of it. It's great if you are, but there's amazing people in your circle if we only look. But the biggest takeaway I'm hearing from your journey that we can apply across the board is determination beats motivation any day of the week. And how badly do you want it? And it's a 1%. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So thank you so much. That's such a really great takeaway. Well, that was mine anyway. They're my gold nuggets. So.
Well, I feel like job done. If that's the takeaway that you have, then that warms my heart. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
But we haven't finished with you yet, Christine. We've got a little bit of fun. So.
We've got a little bit of fun. So we've got a thing we're going to do. We ask all of our guests. We have 10 questions to ask you, which is just a little bit of fun and a bit of a play about. Just before I do, you also have glitter philosophy bracelets.
Yeah,
I've seen those. So how can people buy them, or how can people access them just very quickly?
It's actually something that my daughter has created.
Okay.
Wow.
And we share those. They're actually a fundraising product that we have, and we sort of split our focus between giving back to the hospital where she was treated and giving back to Red Kite, an amazing charity that supports families facing childhood cancer. But we created these little sparkly bracelets so that they would act as a reminder to people to look for the sparkles in your day and remember that they're there. We just have to, sometimes it just takes that little bit of an extra visual cue to remind ourselves. So I even, I go to quite big lengths with this. I'm quite a big believer in those little reminders. So literally wearing sparkles today. I have quite a few sparkles in my wardrobe. Even
I love that. I love that so much.
You probably can't really see, but I bought this in South Africa when I was on safari, and this is a South African symbol for joy. So I have lots of those kinds of little reminders and little symbols, and we've taken that to that next step and have little sparkly bracelets that people can purchase, and the profits from that go back to charity. And it's my daughter's initiative.
That's such a beautiful way to pay it forward. Such a gorgeous way. So I encourage all of our listeners to jump on the website. Is that where we can get hold of them?
Yeah, just message me, send a contact form on the website. Like that, there'll be lots of ways that you'll be able to access them, and we'll get them out to you.
Yeah,
I have to say, I've got a little bit of a crush because I've read a couple of your books and I just went, wow, they opened up my whole world, and I've now given them across to my daughter-in-law who's venturing into the network marketing, and she's enjoying them too. So,
oh, thank you. That's so lovely.
So I've got a little bit of a crush here in terms of the ability to just have this face-to-face with such an amazing human who is lifting worlds left, right and centre. And I know that every time that I've had the absolute honour of being in a room with you where we get to share a cuppa and a quick chat, you always have this beautiful disposition about you where it's light and airy and so much love. You just come away feeling the love that you radiate, not only to the people that you know, but to the people you don't. And I want to really thank you and acknowledge you for that.
Oh, that is probably the nicest compliment I've ever had. I'll come back to this podcast anytime.
You're amazing, LJ, because you have this amazing ability, LJ, to go, I got this crush on you, and if I said it, it'd be really creepy. Like, oh, I got a crush on you, Christine. It just would not be the same. I don't know how you do it, LJ. You seem to nail it every time. You're really good like that.
Thank you. It's been such an honour and privilege. But I'm going to hand you over, Christine, to our quiz master, Mr. Cuddy, and he's going to put you through the paces of our nice little trivia quizzes just to round it up, just for a bit of fun. So.
Go for it.
Are you ready? So this is the serious part of our segment today. The really serious. We bog down in total seriousness. So there's only one thing. There's only one law, one requirement. You can't pass on any question.
Okay.
So and it has to be the first answer you think of.
Yes. So don't overthink it. Just whatever comes up in you. Just got to answer it straight off the bat, and you can't pass on that. So that's apart from that, you can say anything you like. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Okay, 10 questions. Number 1. What is something that makes you feel unstoppable?
Ooh, unstoppable. Music. I love a good upbeat song, and I found a new playlist that I'm just loving, and I can't not feel energized and excited when I listen to it. So yeah,
great answer. LJ and I, we
may need you to share that with us. So.
Yeah, we do music. We talk about music on our podcasts, and we love the music side of life. So good answer. Number 2, what are 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
Determined, sparkly, and positive.
I knew sparkly would be in there somewhere. I just had an idea that it would be in there somewhere. Number 3, what's your favourite nickname someone has given you, and how did you get it?
Teen, and there's only 3 people in the world that are allowed to call me that.
What was the nickname again?
Teen.
Teen, okay.
Because when I was a toddler, I couldn't say Christine, so I called myself Teen. So that's how I got Teen.
Nice. Question 4, what is one place you have always dreamed of going?
Oh, I really would love to go to the Maldives, and to those, those little huts that are over the water that you see on Instagram, and always thought I could enjoy spending a few days there.
I know 2 people that you need to carry the whole family's bags. That
You're volunteering?
Yeah, LJ, yeah. Okay, number 5. Number 5. This is serious stuff. If you could jump into a swimming pool full of anything, what would be in the pool?
Oh, full of... Well, it's obvious. It has to be glitter.
Glitter.
What would you, LJ? What would you have in your pool if you jumped in?
That's a great question. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Probably.
Go.
I was going to say probably. I actually don't mind the ball pits because I find them fun.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd go chocolate. Anyway, moving on.
I don't know you're going to say that.
I don't know. Question 6. Christine, what is the most annoying musical instrument you know of?
The recorder. If you've ever had children learning to play the recorder, you know my pain.
We can tell you're a parent.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 blind mice on the recorder. Practiced every night. Yeah. Okay, question 7. Is a hamburger a sandwich?
No.
Okay. LJ.
Okay.
Is a hamburger a sandwich?
I'm going to say yes.
Controversy.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna decide either way here. I'm just asking questions.
That's not fair.
Well, it's all sandwiched between the bread, but it's not a sandwich per se, because Lord Sandwich, who invented the sandwich, didn't make a hamburger.
Oh, that's a rabbit hole we don't have time to go down.
There's a lot in there. We'll do a podcast on that. Okay, question 8. Christine, Brad Pitt or George Clooney?
Brad Pitt all the way.
You know what? The older he gets, the better he gets.
I completely agree.
Yeah, pretty cool. Question 9. You have to choose one only. You can only get one of the 2. Eyelashes or eyebrows?
Well, eyelashes.
So you're happy to go browless?
Yeah, I can draw them on. But there's only so much you can do without eyelashes.
That's true.
Good point. And question 10, the most important question we do ask every guest we have, do you have pineapple on pizza?
Absolutely.
This one question causes so much conjecture. We get a whole gamut of answers on this, and some people get very passionate about, do you have pineapple on pizza?
And anchovies here.
And you have anchovies as well.
With the pineapple?
My goodness.
So with the pineapple. That's awesome.
That's my goodness. Christine Tylee, thank you so much for your time with us today. It's been wonderful talking with you, with LJ and I, and giving up your time to give us some insights and a lot about your personal life. We've loved every minute of it. It's just a wonderful journey. Thank you for sharing it all with us. For the listeners out there, if you wanted further information about Christine and her life, you can find her online quite easily. Surname Tylee. Christine Tylee. She's all over the place. She just pops up all over the internet like a massive celebrity. It's great to have met you, and I'm sure we will catch up again.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. This has been fun. Thank you.
Can I just say, Christine, you are my new pin-up girl. Whenever I think about Tinkerbell, I'm going to see your face and your beautiful daughter's face, because that's also a dream come true.
Can you do the love heart thing, LJ? Can you do the
the little
That's it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christine. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure, and I can't wait until we actually catch up again in person and can continue an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for everything that you've been through to get you to this point, that you have so many beautiful perspectives to share with our listeners and anybody that comes in contact with you. And also to Sophie, because she is a force of nature in her own right, and possibly if she's open to it, we'd love to have a chat with her too.
I'm sure she'd be delighted.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Christine.
LJ, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining in, Christine. We'll see you again, and until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Bye now.
Hi, it's LJ and Dave here. Thank you so much for listening to the latest podcast.
We love what we do, and we know you get something great out of each and every publication.
So don't forget to jump on the website, coachtalk.com.au, leave us a message, let us know what you're up to, what you're enjoying, what you're loving most, and what else you'd like to see us do.
You can also find all of our content on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Apple Music.
Coachtalk.com.au is the website.
Coach Talk.
We've got you.